Welcome to the latest video from me, Damien Fahy at Money to the Masses, where I talk to you about the news, a couple of pieces of insight on a weekly basis. Now, three names you need to know about this week. They are Donald, they are Mark, and they are Ernie. This is not some episode of Sesame Street. The three key names this week that had some sort of interesting news or influence on markets. Now, Mark Carney, he wasn't a very popular guy at the start of the week. The poor chap had Theresa May knocking him for his handling of the aftermath of Brexit. Now, he came out and he had to make a decision on whether he was going to stay on, extend his contract, for want of a better way of saying it, his term at the Bank of England as governor. And now there were people assuming he actually might quit, but he decided to stay on. Now, that was a bit of a compromise, because he only stayed on for an extra year, much like the professional footballer who wants to see out his contract, not really committed to the club, but does it for the fans. Now, Mark Carney's going to be here for an extra year on the end of his current contract. He probably just wishes he hadn't bothered, because the very next day when he was having to deliver his forecast for inflation, which is now going to spike next year, giving him a bit of a headache, the courts decided that Brexit might need a vote in the House of Commons to be able to trigger Article 50. Now, if you're Mark Carney, you might as well have torn up all those forecasts, because suddenly there's a huge spanner in the works. How can you control an economy where you don't even know whether it's going to be in the EU in the next year or outside of the EU? So poor Mark Carney had a bit of a tough week, whether he wanted to or not. Over in America, Donald Trump has stolen all the headlines because he's had a resurgence in the polls. Now, a win for Donald Trump was completely discounted by the markets after the revelations surrounding previous videos that have been published. Now, if Donald Trump wins the elections, that could be a bad sign for markets, and actually has already sparked somewhat of a sell-off this week. So the markets have actually now had to come back to the realisation that there are two horses in this race, and actually either horse could win. It's not just a one-way street or win for Hillary Clinton, much like we had in Brexit over here back in June. The markets completely discounted the possibility of a Brexit vote, and then once the reality dawned and a Brexit vote happened, the markets sold off massively because they've been priced in to dismiss that likelihood. Same with Donald Trump over in America. Next week's going to be exciting. Our next video, we're going to be talking about who's in the White House, of course, and the impact on markets. Donald Trump is looking more of a likely candidate than he was a week ago. The third person, Ernie. Who the hell is Ernie, I can hear you say. Ernie is a computer who used to pick the winning numbers on the premium bonds. And now premium bonds was 60 years old this week. And they actually managed to have the accolade of probably being the worst or least valued savings product out there. They offer such paltry returns for your money that actually they will soon probably be eclipsed by inflation. The only thing they have is the fact that, as a positive, is that they are backed by the government and your money is safe. Until interest rates were slashed in recent years, you probably would have been better off putting your money in a savings account and then taking the interest and buying lottery tickets if you like to make money on a flutter. Ernie was 60, or premium bonds were 60 this week. There are better ways to make money and save money. There are savings accounts out there that actually pay better, mostly current accounts. Have a look around. Although some of the best ones are now slashing their rates. Santander 123 account, to name but one. That's it for this week. Tune in next week for our next episode. If you want to get in touch, then please do so. Damien at Money to the Masses is the email, and Money2 with the number 2, the Masses, is the Twitter feed.